Hello guys, and we are back with Mental It Season 2, Artists in Their Element, and we are here with the incomparable Anna Stoudemire, CEO and co-founder of Fashion for All Foundation.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel really, really good.
So,
How are you?
I'm feeling good. This is like my first episode back.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm the first guest?
You're the first guest. You're the first.
I feel honored.
There was no better way to bring it back than to have you a part of how much I love you.
Aw,
So I have a couple of questions I want to ask her. She's a very busy woman. So the first question is, how did you start embarking on Fashion for All Foundation? And how is it like navigating being an entrepreneur?
That's a loaded question.
I know.
I'll try to wrap it up. Fashion for All is a foundation. We're a fashion and art foundation, and we promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, as you know, in the industry. And we really create pathways for minority artists, entrepreneurs, young people, talent to get the foot in the door and get those opportunities to access the information. That started was, you know.
No, they don't know.
We're at Lanvin.
Yeah, that's where we met. We met at Lanvin. Yeah, 2016.
Before you came.
Yeah.
This is actually why I left, which opened up a position for you to come. How you replaced me.
Yeah, I know.
So,
It was getting replaced.
Lanvin, on Madison, very white. I was the only Black salesperson on the floor. It was during the time where Colin Kaepernick took his knee after Philando Castile was murdered, Alton Sterling. Time on the floor, no one could relate to me. And my Instagram had two different realities. One was very Black and they were outraged, and the white one was business as usual, the fashion community. And I didn't see it coming together. It was very isolated. So I decided I was gonna protest New York Fashion Week. I did that. It was it read as like an art installation. It was a silent demonstration. It was only 12 of us, and it was Men's Week in 2016. And that's the first time anyone had done that, like outspoken about diversity and inclusion. My thing was, you guys have to acknowledge us, not just steal from our culture.
And our dollars.
Our creativity. Don't just exploit us, acknowledge us, include us, pay us fairly, give us those roles as well. And so this was just a first step, and it was an unheard of first step. No one had done
And how did you go about the process of doing that? Like getting the people together? What can you talk to me about that process?
I was actually very afraid. I wanted to do that though in 2014.
A demonstration?
Yeah, I wanted to do a huge demonstration, and I always envisioned 50 people behind me, 100 people, and we're just taking over the streets. Very revolutionary.
Yeah, very Black.
Very Black. Very Black.
Okay.
I was afraid. Honestly, I was afraid, and I was afraid of what the industry would think, what my peers would think, would it work? And again, I wanted to do it because of Tamir Rice. He was 12. He was
very young
in Cleveland by police.
That's
my
hometown
daughter.
For you.
Yeah, that's my hometown. So that stuck with me. And every year since then, when someone else, another hashtag would pop up, I would say, I'm gonna do it. They didn't do it. I was fear, literally.
Okay, I was gonna ask you. So was it fear-based that kept you from doing it?
100%.
Like, were you outraged? Not outraged, but were you scared of the response that you would get from some of the people closest to you?
More so, I was afraid of doing it, putting myself out there in that way.
How did you overcome that?
Lives are on the line. More people would keep dying. This is just me. I felt it was really watching Alton Sterling's, that video, which is very hard to watch. Andre Bland, seeing all of this
play out on social media, all these deaths. It's not normal to see that in everyday life, to just scroll and see that.
And then to see yourself in it. I saw myself in each one of these people. Then Philando Castile, just the gruesome way they were murdered. Just all of it. Finally, something went off, and I realized if I don't say anything, they're not here anymore. They can't speak up for themselves. I can't be so afraid that more people are gonna succumb to this, and I'm actually here. I have the opportunity. And what it really was, I knew what privilege I had. It's a privilege, I see it, to be a Black woman. So not just that, but the privilege to live in New York, the privilege to have access to New York fashion, privilege to no, I always get on the camera now. Like someone's always gonna take a picture of me when I step out to go to Fashion Week. I know that's a privilege. How am I gonna use it? How am I gonna use the platform? And I just thought, what better way to be noticed than by my clothes, but a message. And that's why all of our shirts were mine said, stop killing us. Other people's, I told them to wear victims' names. Someone had Black Lives Matter. And I emailed it to 100, like everybody in my network, over 100 people. Everyone said, okay, yeah, we're going to do it. 11 people showed up. 11 people.
So that actually brings me to my next question. Because of the industry that you're in, do you find it hard to like navigate friendship, genuine friendships? And what does that really like experience with that? Because fashion, as we know, is very like opportunist sometimes, most times, right? And like who you know, who are you following? How can I get my foot in the door? And like, how are you going to help me? So like, how has been navigating friendships with you, for you in these spaces?
I was always, as you know, because you have this too, I was always fortunate enough to be blessed with discernment. So
come on, discernment.
So discernment is always like, it's literally always there. I could read people. I read energy very well, like very well. So I know when somebody just wants to connect with me because of what they want. I use my discernment to filter the real from the fake, but I also give grace to the opportunists because they don't know. I do look at it like I'm starting to see limits, like people are limited. So I'm not as harsh anymore, and I don't judge people as much anymore by their faults. They're limited. You know what I mean?
And how did you arrive at that space to know that?
My therapist had to tell me to forgive and give people grace in certain areas because they're limited to what they know and to their healing. So how am I going to expect somebody else to treat me how I treat them when they're limited in their experience?
This brings me to my next question. How are you looking at friendship right now, presently, versus 5 years ago?
Now that is a good question.
Come on now. Come on now. Well, 5 years is a long time to me personally. It is. And I feel like how were you looking at your friendships then versus how you look at them now?
Okay, I like that. I'm excited to answer this one. This is a good one. Keep that.
Yeah, catch it.
So the way I look at friendship now today is purposeful. It has to be aligned, and I have to be in season.
Can you explain what that means? Like in season? Yeah.
I realize a lot of friends, and it's not a negative thing, but some friends need my friendship a little more according to the season that we both are in or the season they're in. So we may find ourselves coming back around and spending more time. And I realize that's like cycles with my friends. I may be a little closer in certain seasons to them. We don't know why. I don't know. God knows this person may need me. I may need this person a little more in this season. And then when we're not in season, they're still my friend, but I'm just not as, interactive with them. Alignment is really big. We have to be aligned. Like me and my friends have to walk together, right? We have to be pursuing the same things, or at least like-minded. So that's what I mean by alignment. Purpose. Everything I do is with purpose, including my friends. So we have to be in purpose as friends.
Speaking of purpose, what would you say is your overall purpose outside of being like a mom, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and also with Fashion for All Foundation, what's Hannah's purpose?
That's such
who are you uninterrupted?
God created me to extend my compassion, because I have so much compassion for the underdog, press, the overlooked, the underestimated, discouraged. So I think overall my purpose is to bring people into their best selves, or the light, or their highest selves, or their best opportunity. Because I'm a connector. I view myself as a vessel, and I like bringing people through our bridge, like walk over to the better side.
I too think that that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's God's purpose for you. And I really feel like the same way. I feel the same way.
And that's why we're friends. We're aligned there. We walk the same path.
We believe in God.
And then we're in purpose. Like our purpose is the same.
Good people like other good people. So the next question I have is, what has self-reflection taught you? And what is the one thing about self-reflection that sticks out like a sore thumb for you? Because you mentioned therapy, right? Mm-hmm. So you're in therapy, like obviously with that comes self-reflection. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's a lot of things, but one of the big things is to not be as hard on myself. I am really hard on myself. It's like super hard, very hard.
Still?
Not as much. And every day I do find myself being less hard. And with that comes rest too. I would be really hard on myself and I would push myself. That's a part of it. And so now I've learned.
Like you were sleep deprived a little bit?
Sleep, like rest comes in so many forms. Like when I needed a nap, you big
on nap.
I have to reschedule. If I have to reschedule, I'll say, I'm not in the best place to do this. I have to reschedule. If I'm
very, very mature, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, but even with like personal projects, work projects, meetings, I would cancel a meeting in a minute. Now, I don't have to be all things to all people. And I used to feel like I had to do that. And that comes from me having my daughter so young. So I had so much to prove.
One of the questions that I did have for you, and I'll just like swing it in there now, because you mentioned your daughter. Outside of your daughter, who is like your biggest inspiration? Reason why like you wake up in the morning and do things and like, oh wow, that's very inspiring. Like I want to do something like that.
I mean,
it really is daughter.
Right? I know you said outside of daughter, but I gotta say,
it really is daughter.
Taylor Marie is my reason. And I tell you this, she's such a blessing, and I tell her this all the time. If I didn't have her when I did, I would not be the same person.
How so?
I wouldn't go this hard. She's my reason. I want to give her the very best of the world. So I have to accomplish all these things to get there, to give it to her. If I didn't have her, I don't know if I would go as hard as that. I don't think so.
You know, it's so funny looking at an interview that Angie Martinez did with JT. And JT, do you know what I'm talking about? And she said something to the effect of, I don't have to go as hard because I don't have a kid or someone who's responsible. Marisha, like, she has to go hard.
She has, And that's why I realized in reflection, self-reflection, I used to think being a young single mom was like a disadvantage. That's why I went so hard. Like, I'm at a disadvantage. I have to work harder, even be on the same level as my peers and friends who don't have this. That was my secret weapon. That was my advantage. And now I look at my friends who don't have children and think, you guys are so disadvantaged. So like, it's not even fair because you don't have this extra drive. Like now I feel like, I have this unfair advantage with her.
That's a beautiful way of looking at that, because typically it's reverse.
It's reverse, I know.
How did you get yourself to come to a space and arrive at like, I'm not thinking like that no more?
I think honestly, that was more spiritual maturity and revelation. Like I realized God worked in the contrast on that. Like actually what was meant to be a hindrance and what most people would say would set them back, actually an advantage for you.
And what would you say like was the hardest moment that you had to overcome, even most recently or in the past?
I would say getting into my career, because I'm not from New York.
New York. At all.
Nowhere near. So being from like Cleveland, I had so much, I fit right into New York, right? But I had so many obstacles.
Did you feel like you had to like prove yourself quite a bit?
100 times over. I first arrived, even my Ohio accent was a lot thicker. And so people would hear it, would immediately think I was like some deer in headlights, somebody they could just take advantage of, or they could get one over just because they could tell I was different. I wasn't from here. Navigating that, being like, you know, we're really kind. We Southern hospitality, Midwest, we speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking down the street making eye contact with everyone. It's, hi, how are you? And they're looking at me like,
How did that make you feel? Honestly,
I had to rewind. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to lose that part about me. Code switch. Like when I'm here, I'm a New Yorker. When I go anywhere else, I switch to that. And so when I'm in the South or in the Midwest, or even in the West Side, I will resume, you know, those manners again. I was getting all kind of wrong attention. Men would think I was interested in them, just saying good morning and making eye contact.
I think it's so crazy, like the cultural difference between states. I went to the South to go see my grandmother, and people literally open the doors for you and say hello. Being from New York, and maybe different to experience that. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, like, what does showing up for yourself look like for you?
Giving myself the very best at all times. That's really great. And when I say self-care, because that's a bit overused. If I want someone to take me, you know, around the world, I take myself around the world. Self-care in the sense of, which I really love this practice, once a week, I really do get a massage now. Thursday, and if I can't make it on Thursday, I'll do Friday or Saturday, which, you know, I have my massage today.
Massage Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to go get my massage because I do a lot of the span of 1 week, and I need like to take
massages. Yeah, massages are actually very holistic.
Good for circulation, creativity.
It is.
Like I come up with the best ideas
when you're on massage table,
and that's a form of rest.
It is.
Sleep, be mentally, not even physically.
What is something that you would want to tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a good. Now,
what would you tell her? Having now experienced all you have experienced, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that you don't even know how impactful you're going to be, how much of a blessing you're going to be to so many people. And I would also tell her you're perfect just the way you are, and continue to stand out, because I've always stood out. I've never like been on the trend, never been in the in crowd, like never. I've always like marched to the beat of my own drum. And I used to think not something was wrong, but I needed to, you know, fit in a little more. And I would just tell my younger self, continue to stand out, continue not to fit in, embrace that, and you're gonna get there.
That's beautiful. And with that being said, younger self, I have an announcement you wanted to make.
When I was younger, you know, I've always wanted to write books. I'm an avid reader, and I wrote my first book when I was in the 4th grade, this little self-illustrated, just staple.
Yeah.
Notebook paper, you know, loosely paper. Stapled.
Do you still have that?
No, I asked my mom, I wish I would have saved it. It was crazy, the stick figures, but it was my first book, because I've always wanted to write a book. And I finally, this past week, wrote my first ebook.
What is it about? Tell the people.
It's called How to Accomplish Any Goal, 8 Steps to Setting and Achieving Your Goals. Because entrepreneurship, I did want to speak on this. Entrepreneurship is a series of just goal setting and achieving, short-term, long-term. That's wrapped up, like summed up, that's entrepreneurship.
With this book, what is your hope?
That people will elevate and unlock new levels, whatever that is. Monthly levels, annually. No. What am I trying to say? Monthly levels. What is it?
Semi-annually? Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Yeah. Semi-annually. Not the ADP, the ADP.
Really, like, just to reach and live and experience like the life you've always wanted, because that's possible. I'm living the life I always wanted to live through goal setting and achieving them.
Like when you achieve a goal, how do you celebrate it?
I sure do. That's chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
Chapter 8 is hard.
Soon come, soon come. How many chapters is in the book?
It's 8. It's 8
It's
steps.
8 chapters?
Yeah,
Okay, 8 steps.
8 steps, 8 chapters. The last chapter is called Reward Yourself. And I speak about the importance of rewarding yourself every step of the way. So if you meet a deadline, if you do the first step, reward yourself, like in a small but meaningful.
Where can the audience find your ebook, and when should we expect that to be dropping?
It actually drops on Monday.
Oh!
2 days. It'll be ready. And I'm going to link it in my bio on Instagram,
Okay.
but I also have my own website.
Okay.
hmstoudemire.com. You could buy it there.
And then can you also tell them how long it took you to do it? Because I think that part is
that part is good.
It speaks to your drive.
Yeah,
though.
no, it speaks to my drive. Steps in my book about how to accomplish any goal. I apply them towards anything that I do and accomplish. And it took me 7 hours to write my book. Only 7. My goal was 24 hours, and I did it.
So can you tell us when you started and when you ended? I want the tea. Tell them the tea. Because people need to know what is going on behind the scenes. I think that's so valuable for people to know that.
So I told myself on Tuesday, I'll give you a little backstory. Over the Memorial Day weekend, I set a goal, and I said, I'm going to finish my book. Like, you know, over this, maybe Monday, I would write the book. Didn't write the book, didn't do it. And I was really upset at myself. Not because I wasn't being hard in that moment. I wasn't being hard on myself. But Tuesday, I decided I'm not putting this off one more day. And I was going to sit down at my desk, write the book, and I wouldn't leave until it was finished. So I started writing at 10 p.m. and finished until about 5:30 a.m. Went to the bathroom once. No water, no coffee, no Red Bull.
Just you and God.
Just me and God. And the best part of all is when you're naturally gifted at something, or you have like those gifts and talents, it came so much easy. It flowed so much easier because it's in me, and I use this.
And you actually live the life, and you
I
actually
live this book.
The last question I have for you is, are you aware of how cool you actually are? No, for real, are you aware of how cool you are?
No, I'm not, because, I think I am. I'm not aware of how others see me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You know I'm forever always in giving you your flowers, because you are so cool to me, and like your soul, your spirit, and what you do for other people is truly why I think you're blessed.
Oh.
Like, you expand on what someone already has. As you mentioned before earlier, like I literally watch you do it with such grace. You honestly make this shit look easy. You do. And I know it's not easy.
That's grace. You're right.
That's grace. Yeah. Thank you so much for being the guest for Mentalist Season 2, Artists in Their Element.
Thank you for allowing me to be the first, like that. That was the best surprise.
Yeah. And I literally was like, I'm not doing anything until I can get Hannah on.
I really enjoyed chatting with you. I hope you have me back.
Yeah. And on that note, we are out.
Oh my gosh. Bye.